Welcome to Owning the Goal. This is a podcast that helps take charge of your sales success. I'm your host, Brian McFarland, and I look forward to sharing insights and inspiration from my 40-year sales career as a sales leader. Like you, we are all more than just salespeople, which is why this isn't just a podcast about sales. We'll talk with our guests. We have a very special one today about other interests too, like books, sports, music, mental health, families, starting your own business, and how they all relate to hitting our goals, because success in sales is success in life. And here on this beautiful Monday, August 11th, I am so happy to welcome old colleague and good friend Lauren Burke. And today's episode is the mother of Reinvention, a new vision for success. I am so excited to hear. So in this episode, we're going to meet Lauren. She's a marketing executive turned entrepreneur. I want to ask about that, who climbed off the corporate ladder and launched her own marketing consultancy in pursuit of new, more aligned goals. After years chasing the external markers of success and juggling work and a young family, Lauren realized that the ladder she'd worked so hard to climb no longer led where she wanted to go. She shares the real, inspiring journey from burnout and external validation to personal and professional fulfillment, and the opportunities she sees to make a bigger impact. If you've ever felt trapped by metrics that no longer fulfill you, the entire audience is going, that's me.
Metrics, yep.
This episode is your permission slip to redefine success on your terms. Take it away. Lauren, tell us about who you are and what brings you here today to Owning the Goal.
First of all, thank you so much, Brian, for having me here. The title of your podcast just got me really excited, and I was really excited to reconnect with you and really tell the story. So Lauren Burke, now I'm founder, CEO, and chief marketer for my company, LJS Advisory. As Brian said, we are a marketing consultancy. I should also say that I am the owner, right, of this company, because it ties in very well with the title of this podcast, Owning the Goal. Right now at my company, I'm really everything, chief everything officer. I own all aspects from setting the goals, setting the strategy, managing the execution, not just of my business, of course, but also of my clients. So I work with startups, scale-ups, mostly in the tech space. So I'm creating strategy and executing for them as well. So right now, you know, the business begins and ends with me, which is simultaneously really scary, but also really liberating, which I guess is what entrepreneurship is all about at the end of the day. But I really wanted to come here, Brian, because I wanted to share my story in the hopes that it would help others. I want people to understand that while you should set SMART goals, right? We always talk about SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. But the goals can be fluid throughout your life. They can be fluid throughout your career, right? You may have one set of goals that you're working towards for a decade, but you change. So I want to give people the permission to adapt your goals based on what your priorities are at the time. I want people to be able to reinvent their goals as they reinvent themselves, and frankly, just be unapologetic about it.
I love that, and you had me at hello, and I mean, I've got so many questions to ask you, but
yes.
This is such an important point to all of us. I know, especially hits home with me, and I just mentioned an interview I did with a gentleman, David Berkowitz, on AI, who literally said when he reviewed his book, "What's the point of writing a book on AI? Because by the time it was published, ChatGPT 5.0 was out." So reinventing yourself every day is where it's at. So I had the pleasure of you supporting. First off, a big thank you for being on the show. Second, for all you did. We worked at the same company, a wonderful company, Augury, and for all you did to support our sales teams. I've worked with a lot of marketing people over my 40-year career, and you are by far one of the absolute best in helping us, because it's brutal out there. So one question I've got to ask you up front is, so you go from supporting the sellers like myself, who are so lucky to be with you, to actually selling. What were some of the shocking surprises?
That was the scariest part for me initially. I was like, I can do the marketing thing all day, right? I can do spreadsheets, but like having to put yourself out there, so vulnerably, right? And you will be rejected 99% of the time. Like that was something new for me. So I was terrified, and naturally I got a ton of no's, and it got me down a little bit in the beginning, we'll say, but it's been about a year and a half since I went off on my own, and I have to say that I've come 180 on it, in that I'm okay with rejection now. I'm not afraid of quote unquote failing, right, with a specific customer, because I know there will be another opportunity down the line. So I think, and you'll understand why this is how I feel now, and getting to this mindset took me a while, right? But I really feel for you guys, because it's tough out there. And when I did support sales teams directly, I always tried to put myself in your shoes, right? I tried to hear what your pain points were, whether it's getting the leads, or once you have the leads, converting the leads. Marketing really has a role across all of that. So, I've been able to apply that in my own business. So I'm very thankful for having the opportunity to have worked with yourself and some of the other sellers that are kind of very vocal and saying hey, this is what we need, and marketing, let's work together on a solution. I feel like that sales and marketing relationship cannot be downplayed.
Yes, and I will compliment you specifically because of, I don't know, I probably worked for 15 different places. Of those 15, you were one of maybe 3 as I was thinking about this and doing my homework about you, and lots of questions to ask you there. You were one of the few that would ever sit with us, either individually or as a group, and say, what's going on? How can I help you? What are we doing that's benefiting you? What are we doing that's not?
Right.
And then you listened to us, so that enabled you. You mentioned that you were able to get over, and I do want to spend a minute on this point because it's really hard, right? When you all of a sudden get hit in the face with 99% of the people, many times people are ghosting you, not getting back to you.
Oh, yeah.
Saying they're not interested. How did you get over that personally? And then professionally.
Yeah, it's hard not to take it personally, right? Because then you sort of spiral a little, and you're like, oh, what could I have said differently? What did I say wrong? Did I offend them? Was I off-piste completely with my recommendation or solution? Was I annoying, right? But so, a lot of my work in the past year and a half, so I set new goals, we'll say, as I mentioned. I had a new strategy to achieving those goals. And one of those strategies was actually looking at myself, right? Nurturing myself, using myself as we'll say a tool more than I have ever in the past, right? I would always do what was asked of me and then some, right? Because that's kind of how I grew up. That's how I moved up the ladder. But being an entrepreneur, you don't people please your way to the top as an entrepreneur, right? So you really have to work on your mindset and be comfortable in your skin. You have to be okay with the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. It's very unpredictable. You may, and you know this better than anyone, you may think, oh yeah, I got a verbal yes, this thing is going to close next week. And then all of a sudden something comes out of the blue and you no longer had that deal that you were banking on, and right? And you can't let that derail, your mindset. You can't let that derail your plan. You have to be able to pivot nimbly. And it wasn't until I started doing this mindset work, nurturing myself 360 degrees, taking care of my mental health, my physical health, my spiritual health, that I was I'm now able to roll with those punches much better than I would have been able to in the past.
Well, again, you're ahead of your time, and I wish I could have learned those things at your age. You're a lot younger than me. Because one piece of feedback we do get from our listeners is they love to know, taking off the curtains here, tell us about you, how you grew up, what were your, what kind of got you to this point of success overall.
Yeah, definitely. So I grew up in, say, a mixed household. My mom was Latina, my dad was, we'll say, American, and that immigrant mindset really played into me, working really hard, going to school, climbing the ladder was always sort of drilled into me. Like, you will be successful, you will be successful, you will work hard, and everything will work out. So that's kind of how I went about like everything, right? I always was involved in extracurriculars. I did well in school. I was very motivated. I had a bunch of internships in college. I was like, I will get a good full-time job, right? So all of those things happened. Early in my career, I was very motivated by opportunities, by experiences. Obviously, making a good living was part of it as well, right? I decided to go into advertising, specifically digital media ad tech, because I thought it was a great way to like leverage my skills, my passions, as well as my degree. I've always really enjoyed the creative side of things. So kind of marrying my, we'll say, innate creative mindset with the ability to analyze data. I feel like digital media and ad tech kind of marry those together very well. So I feel like I ended up in the right space. You know, I was really excited to climb the ladder at the time. I said yes to pretty much every opportunity that presented itself to me career-wise. So I moved to London for 2 years to, you know, help grow an international business, which really was amazing. And obviously the money's not there in your early career, right? But I had faith that as I continued to grow and advance, the money would eventually come. So all of this was going well. I had a ton of different opportunities, was growing, was experiencing. And then I had a child and everything changed. So I had my son in my late 20s. And at that point, I think I was really confused about what my goals were. So I had my professional goals, which, you know, I hadn't really thought to change. I was like, right, of course I can continue to climb this ladder and take on more responsibilities. I really want to be a manager. Why can't I do that? You know what I mean? And then I also, of course, wanted to be a great mother to my child and present, right? But it really felt like they were always conflicting, and both felt, frankly, impossible. So I feel like I was always chasing something, right? Like running around like a headless chicken, trying to be a great mother, trying to be a great employee, and not really doing a great job at either. So I feel like I didn't realize at the time what I was aiming for was perfection. And as we all know, that doesn't exist. So my goal was not really that smart, and that it wasn't attainable or achievable. And I feel like a lot of women go through that process, maybe men too, right? But I know women go through it for sure, because I talk about it with a lot of women, that you're like, hey, I've got all these plates in the air and one is always falling and it's always breaking. So for years, I kind of continued in that cycle. I wanted to be a boss at home. I wanted to be a boss at work. I wanted to travel for work. I wanted bigger positions. And eventually when I got there, it felt like it was at the expense of a lot of other things. So there were like a series of moments over an 8-year period that kind of led me to the like, okay, you can't just change jobs anymore. Like, that's not going to fix this. Like, you need to do something a little more drastic.
That's amazing. And that step of, thank you for sharing that. And I think we'll talk, one of the companies you work for in the UK, I believe you worked with, there's 2 funny points I did when I was doing my homework on you. I believe you worked with a gentleman at one of your companies who I was very good friends with.
Okay.
Shout out to Alan Shanzer at Undertone.
I do know Alan, yeah. Oh, yeah, yep.
One of my dearest friends. And I
You don't work in media if you don't know him.
No, you definitely.
Yeah.
Alan helped me in so many ways, and after I thought about and saw Undertone, it reminded me I need to give him a call again. I used to go visit him at his home in Westport, so that was wonderful.
Near where I am, Brian, so hit me up.
And then I definitely will. And then I believe you worked at 360i in 2008,
Yes.
correct? Well, the gentleman I interviewed on Friday, David Berkowitz,
Yep.
was also at 360i in 2008, and that's when I met him.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I wouldn't have been surprised if we were on the same floor on the same day when I came to visit David.
Oh my God, that is so funny.
for my
Yep.
first startup, which was Video Egg. So,
And that was one of my internships. So you probably would not have even noticed me there in the corner, like plugging away, writing copy for videos. So
unfortunately not, and I don't think.
yeah,
Well, 360R wasn't going to like buy media from you, but David was a facilitator. But anyway.
gotcha. Small world.
So, what I think is one of the things that you've done is so brave. Well, first off, in your notes, right, you were trying to do the multitasking of being a great
Yeah.
mom, which I'm sure you are, and being a great employee and climbing the ladder, whatever. And I've joked for 30 years, and I said, you know what the definition of multitasking is? Doing several things poorly, right? Because no one can give all their attention to like 5 things.
Yep.
It's just physically impossible.
It's funny when you see those like job responsibilities and expectations able to multitask. It's like, how about you want an employee that's able to focus, right? Like on getting the job done. I think that's more important. But anyway.
Right. I agree. So, and I love all that you're talking about with mindset and everything. But the question I want to ask is, walk me back to the moment that you said, I am done with working for people, because you're never in control of yourself when someone else is signing your check, right? We all know that. Into I'm going to work for Lauren, and and where'd you get the courage to do that?
Yeah, and I feel like at the time, like I said, it was a culmination of 8 years of experiences, and it was like I was able to sustain things when something didn't go wrong, we'll say, or something wasn't out of whack. But like, as a parent, like shit always happens. So it's like any little thing would kind of set me off, right? So I was lucky in that the time when finally I decided to take this leap, like the conditions were right. My family, my husband was very supportive. So with, that support, with me finally sort of reaching my breaking point, in that I had so much on my plate at work, so much on my plate at home. Now I have 2 sons, right? So 2 kids, double the hell raising, right? I've got 2 boys. They're nuts. I just felt that I was eventually going to lose my health, right? Like I did not want to lose my mental or physical health that were sometimes teetering, frankly, because of all the stress and the pressure, frankly, that I put on myself to be perfect on everything. So at the end of the day, I didn't want to lose my health, which is the most important wealth that you have. So I decided to do this, holistic change, and really move the ladder from someone else's wall to my wall, right? So there are multiple rungs on this ladder of entrepreneurship, and I am probably on the first or second one. So I still have a long way to go. I have a lot to learn, but I feel right now confident that I'm on the right ladder.
Yeah, well, kudos to you and continued success. And that leads to a great sort of natural question is, now walk us through. So you've been doing this a year and a half.
Yeah.
Obviously successfully, because you didn't go work for anyone else again yet. Walk us through the path of, you said, there's my goal. I want to get this successful business off the ground. So walk us through this year and a half of from the early days to now and everything that's in between.
Yeah, definitely. So first I'll say that I've experienced more growth personally in the last year, probably than in the last 10 years, based on what I was telling you before. So I'll talk to you about my goals setting out into my business. So the first one was obviously to just start my own business, right? I wanted to do what I did as a marketer for one brand, to do that for multiple brands. I like helping people. It's just part of what I do, and like being able to help more companies grow was something I was really excited about. So that's where my tagline came from, marketing for ambitious growth. I want to work with ambitious startups that have big, audacious goals, and I want to be able to help them by helping them think differently, and helping them grow, not only revenue, right, but growing the way they work, growing the way they market, and all of the above. So check, that was my first one. Start the consultancy. I did that about a year and a half ago. And then maintain flexibility in my schedule was a major goal of mine. So I wanted to be there for my kids physically at least 4 days of the week. Obviously, there are exceptions, right? You always have to travel for industry events and things like that. But for the most part, I wanted to be there. And I also wanted to be present while I was there, not constantly checking emails or freaking out about some deadline, right? And luckily, I've been able to do this. So 2 goals checked, which has, I think, given me kind of the wind in my sails to keep going. And then, of course, grow revenue to a place where I could replace my salary and then some, because I do want to grow this business. So it's not just me. So I've had a good year, not quite there yet, we'll say, with the revenue, but we're growing, we're taking on new clients. I'm loving the work that I'm doing. And I think that comes through in the work as well. So from fractional CMO work to LinkedIn strategies, thought leadership, integrating generative AI into marketing processes, that's been a big one. And anything from company naming to product naming to sales strategy. Like, you know, when we worked together, I did a little bit of everything. I'm able to do that now at multiple companies, and I'm really enjoying it. So, you know, we solve both specific, we'll say, and holistic marketing problems. So that's really what I'm doing. So I feel like I'm on pace here. Like, I'm trying to be patient. That's another thing I've learned. And I actually would love to hear from you about how you are able to remain patient when you have a quota hanging over your head. So let's come back to that one. And then finally, the last goal that I have is really to create a company that is flexible, we'll say authentic, and modern. So, you know, call me idealistic, but I feel like times have changed and a lot of companies maybe haven't. So I want to give people the autonomy that I now have, where they can do their best work a little bit more in their terms. So obviously there will be dedicated moments for collaboration, whether in person or virtually, and there will be goals and performance expectations. But like, if you know, you're a mother and you tell me you have 2 kids and you need to be available, you know, between 9 and 10 and 3 and 5, like, that's okay, as long as you're hitting the goals and the expectations that you're there. So I want to create a place that does that. Right now I have contractors, I have an intern. So I'm looking forward to being able to hire full-time staff and be able to kind of put this ethos into a company and hopefully inspire more companies to do the same. So I really would like to kind of reinvent the workplace for the next generation. So this is lofty. This is going to take a while, but slowly but surely we'll get there.
Wow, that's I don't know, when I look at your services provided: brand consulting, advertising, business consulting, marketing consulting, pricing strategy, brand marketing, content strategy, event marketing, digital marketing, marketing strategy.
Oh, that's LinkedIn. That's, yeah.
I know. Yeah. But that shows how many hats, and you wore all those hats when we worked together. I want to dive into, because you said it. So you talked about generative AI.
Yeah.
So if you would put that cap on,
sure.
Because I'll just tell you personally, that is right now the most important thing that I think listeners, sellers, entrepreneurs, people, humans can tap into. And
sure.
I will say, as a focus group of 1, I've been going kicking and screaming, and literally in the last week, I've just pivoted and woke up and said, you know, you're going to be left in the dust here. Like you said, times have changed. A lot of companies have.
Yeah, totally.
So walk me into your AI world and how you embrace that, and then how you talk to your companies about it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I do think there's still a little bit of fear around AI, right? I think slowly but surely that's going away. But I think especially in the agency model, like, that's getting completely upended thanks to AI, right? So I think that agencies they need to kind of move away from old ways of thinking and old ways of doing things and embrace AI as an aid to do things quickly and in some cases better, right? More quickly, more effectively. So the way I use AI is in a few different ways. So if I am trying to craft a piece of content, we'll say, I will always start as a human, right? I'll use my brain, I'll create the outline, I will start to write, and there may be a moment where you're writing where you just reach a block, right? You're like, I don't know the right word to say, I don't know how to say it, right? AI is great for that. Or on the flip side, you say, hey, I actually don't even know where I want to start here, so I'm gonna start with AI and just throw some spaghetti at this AI wall and see what it comes back with. And then from there, you use that as inspiration to craft your own unique piece of content. So those are two like immediate use cases, whether it's, you want to write a social media post or a blog post. The other thing that I think companies need to start embracing is creating custom GPTs, and this is something that I help them do. So it's feeding the AI all of the context it needs to create like hyper relevant content for you. So whether it's, your, I don't know, Brian, for you, it's your sales plan, right? Like give like all of those details, and then you see what it gives you, right? And you refine it and you keep going. So like I'm able to now plug into custom GPTs and say, hey, I need a post that says X, Y, and Z, and the post I get needs very little editing. So what would have taken me maybe half an hour at least takes me 5 minutes now. So think of the productivity that you now have in terms of time and freeing up your employees, your resources to do more strategic thinking versus just writing, post copy, for example. So those are some of the, we'll say, quicker wins that we help clients kind of take advantage of.
Oh, I have to, and forgive me for being selfish, but I'm guessing if I don't, perhaps I don't understand something or don't know about something, some of our listeners don't. So help me with custom GPTs. I'll have to send you a check after this because you're like a consultant. I don't know what that means, so forgive me for being so naive.
So within ChatGPT, you can create, your own GPT, you name it, right? Whatever you want it to be. So, social media GPT, and then you're feeding it like all of this info. My goal is to, attract customers with X, Y, and Z profile. My goal is to increase my reach. My goal is to whatever. This is the tone that I want my post to take. This is, the time of week I want to post. The more that you feed it, the more precise and accurate the output from the AI is, right? So the custom AI is you feeding it all of those inputs, and then whatever they give you is going to then be hyper targeted, basically.
Oh, okay. And it does seem, as I'm learning, it does seem to learn about you. So it's just constantly evolving. And understanding the type of voice that you want, that you want to go there. And Mike, I love the word you said, hyper relevant. Because when you talked about, you asked me about patience before. I actually said to my girlfriend as I was driving her into work this morning, I said, I'm late to the game. I'm trying to sync Calendly with my Outlook and Gmail and develop all these automatic responses and just make myself more efficient. And I have to realize that you have to spend quite a bit of time on the upfront, like you're saying.
Yes,
what are you feeding? To get a good output. And you have to take the deep breath and say, okay, an hour spent feeding and setting this thing up 100%. Can result in 50 hours of production. So don't think, oh my gosh, I could have prospected for 5 new people in this hour. You have to look at the long-term views.
Look at it as an investment for, long-term freedom, we'll say. And, there are times when, you're trying to create one of these things and the output is still not what you need, right? You've given it all the things and it's just not getting it. I would say don't give up, because eventually it learns. And now that ChatGPT 5 is out, supposedly it's going to be even better. So,
I've been trying it, and it's really remarkable. Things I did over the weekend, things in my personal life. A simple note, I had to write an apology note to my significant other, and I told her I never, put the facade that it's all from me. But I said, I wrote it in and it came up with something that was better than I would have done for myself.
There you go.
So,
there you go.
We all need to be on board with that. Do you ever use, random question, do you ever use ChatGPT to help you with parenting?
I actually don't. And it's not that I haven't considered it. But yeah, no, not really.
Not yet.
Do you?
Good. Well, good for you.
Not yet. Exactly.
Actually, I did, and I'll take 45 seconds to relay the story. This is before ChatGPT. I remember when my daughter was 4 or 5, and I was alone with her, and she said, "I need to ask you a question. I need to give you an honest answer." Sorry, I think she was about 7. And I was like, okay, anytime someone asks you a question like that, you know you're in trouble. And she said, "Is Santa Claus real? And I want you to be honest with me." And my then wife at the time was not around to consult with. And I said, "Can you hold that thought?" And I ran into Google and I typed in what to do if your 7-year-old daughter, this is, I don't know, 12 years ago, asks about Santa Claus. And it gave not as good answers as it would give today. But regardless, I broke the girl's heart and had to tell her that he was not. And
I am not looking forward to that conversation. That's inevitably going to happen for me in like a year or 2. Oh,
yes.
No thanks.
Yes. Maybe ChatGPT 5.0 can help with that.
Yeah.
Which
I'll
would be
ask
good.
all the AIs. Pick the best
well,
one.
Well, I guess it would be smart to say what are the most challenging questions my sons will bring me at these ages, and it will give you a list of responses. So then you just need to pause, when you get there.
Look at you giving me new use cases for AI. I love it. Thank you.
Old guys still have some tricks, right?
Yeah.
So as you know, so helpful already and whatnot. But I want to ask, what's You've given us a window, so let's walk through here. What's really your mission as your leader? What is your vision for success now? And what are the near and long-term goals with both your professional and personal life?
Yeah, so my mission as a leader is to continue to drive growth, obviously in the numbers, right? But growth in thinking, growth in mindset, whether it's for my clients, for my company, for employees, and for myself. I've grown a lot in that when working with clients, I'm not afraid to respectfully challenge something that, whether it's an idea, a process, something as simple as a mission statement, like asking them, hey, is your mission still the mission you have on paper still the mission that you're trying to go after? And most of the times it's no, because their business evolves so quickly as well. So, asking clients to restate their mission and vision are very simple things that I always do, almost regardless of the project, to kind of remind them why they exist and what their long-term vision is, because clients often get lost in the day-to-day just as much as anyone does, right? So, that is really important to me. And then, personal growth, as I said, if we're not being challenged, if we're not pushing limits, if we're not trying new things, to me, that's the opposite of owning the goal, right? If you are trying to build something and you have concrete goals and you're not, trying every possible method to go after them, even uncomfortable methods, then it's like, why are you even bothering, in my view? So that's kind of my mission, is really growth focused. And then in terms of vision, it's really, for me, my vision of success, it's still experiences as it was before. It's still climbing the ladder, but it's my ladder, right? And it's feeling fulfilled and aligned, like I have balance across all aspects, whether it's, being a CEO, being a CFO, because I'm that now too, being, having a personal life of my own, which is something I feel like I didn't have for so long, because it was either working or parenting. So now I'm trying to make an effort to figure out, what does Lauren enjoy? Because I feel like I haven't thought about that in so long. And once I do pour into my own cup, I find that the creative ideas just start to flow as well. So, that's really important to me at the moment. And I feel like, in terms of my new goals, which I shared with you, like, people talk about the strategy. So it's like, how are you achieving the goals? There's, of course, the business stuff that you're doing, whether it's, working new leads, networking, creating a new website, creating kick-ass sales material. There's always going to be that piece. But the part that I think gets downplayed in entrepreneurship is the other part, which is nurturing yourself and growing your mindset. Reading books that you haven't read before. That part is something that I want people to leave with. And like, hey, if you want to grow, like, yeah, keep doing what you're doing on the business side, hustle, grind, that's all cool, but like, don't kill yourself at the expense, at that expense, right? Fill your own cup and create kind of a life that fulfills you in all aspects.
My goodness, so much. Listeners, I hope you're enjoying and learning from this and taking notes as frantically as I am. So many great quotes in here. Fill your own cup. All the put in the show notes. And before we wrap up and talk about like leaving the audience with one thing, which is what they're accustomed to, this is the first now in Owning the Goal. I think I'm up to episode 19. So I thought this is the first time I'm going to try lightning round of just a few quick questions. Okay.
Sure.
Your favorite book and the book you're reading right now.
Oh gosh, great question. I have read so many books in the past year about mindset. There's this one, hold on, I just gave it to somebody to borrow. I'm just forgetting the exact title because it's a little inappropriate. You can never lend out a book, you'll never get it back, you realize. I know. Okay, so this was I think one of my first books that I read on my entrepreneurial journey, and the title just spoke to me. You Are a Badass. How to Stop Doubting Your Greatness and Start Living an Awesome Life. So while it may not be my favorite book, it is a book that sort of was the catalyst for me to read all sorts of other books about, self-empowerment, like killing all your self-doubt and just going after your goals, big or small. So it's a light read and it's like kind of funny. So I definitely, encourage that. And let's see, what else do I have? There's another book I'm going to throw at you. It's called 10X is Easier Than 2X. Have you heard of that one?
I have not.
So it's another great business, like toes the line between business and personal. Kind of the ethos behind that is that getting to 10X your goal is easier than getting to 2X, because 2X is all about grind and hustle and, here and now I've got to get from, 1 million to 3 million. Whereas 10X causes you to like take a step back and totally rethink the way that you're approaching something, right? So you're pulling the problem apart and, you're rebuilding it from scratch. So it cites a lot of examples of how businesses have totally turned themselves around, like from bankruptcy, because they stopped living in the minutia of like the numbers, right? Getting from 1 to 3. Like they're thinking bigger and they're going from 1 to 10 and how it's actually easier. So another book I highly recommend people check out. And then a book that I just finished, I'm not actually reading one right now, is a very girly book that a friend let me borrow. Speaking of borrowing, it's called A Court of Thorns and Roses. I won't even go into what that's about. Just look it up. Look it up.
Okay. I don't know if I'm going to read the other two. Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to read that one.
I don't know if that was your style. To each their own, though.
Exactly. Okay. Current favorite band?
Oh, shoot. Okay. That's another great one.
I did not prepare Lauren with any of these. This is our first time we're lightning round.
Okay. Gosh, my kids have me listening to all sorts of like hard rock, which is funny because they're like 9 and 5. So we listen to a lot of AC/DC. We went to actually an AC/DC concert a couple months ago, which was really amazing. But I have to say my like tried and true are like Shakira and Taylor Swift, and no shame.
Okay.
Love them to pieces.
Wow, AC/DC. Well, God bless you that you got to see AC/DC, because probably not many concert tours left in those guys.
That was our thinking. But man, they can rock it like probably better than most. It was really shocking and amazing. Like I have to say.
Did you see them in Connecticut?
No, in Massachusetts.
In Massachusetts, okay. Yeah, I think
Yep.
Angus is like 80 now, which is kind of unbelievable that he does what he did.
He's got some moves. Like I'm telling you, he's still got it. If you ever have a chance to go see them, just do it. It's so worth it. It was wonderful.
I would agree. And what last pop round question? What is your favorite thing to do for your mental health? So, could be meditation, forest walking, chanting. What's the fave?
That's a great question. So 2 things that seem to help me. One is walking. So part of this has been like trying to increase my exercise. Now I only exercise a couple times a week, like hard exercise. I still haven't found that right balance. But I do go for walks a few times a week without music. I literally just walk in nature for about half an hour, let my mind wander in all sorts of directions. And that is, like I was saying before, that is when I have my breakthroughs, like, my best ideas that I will then go pitch to a client and say, hey, like, I know we weren't talking about this, but I got this like really random idea. And I think this is how it ties into our strategy. And this is how the impact I think it could have. And like 4 out of 5 times the clients are like, oh, that's awesome. We haven't thought of that. So I would not, I don't discount the power of like walking in your thoughts. And then the other one is visualizing. I don't know if you do any of that, Brian, but like trying to visualize like where I want to be, we'll say in a year. So, visualizing myself working my business a year from now, what does that look like, right? I'm telling you I want employees. So envisioning myself working with these employees and, the feeling of reaching a big milestone goal that we have, like whether it's bringing in like a big client or it's executing a really great campaign. That's something that has been very helpful for me and I think something I'll continue to use going forward.
Fantastic. Well, there's no doubt you're going to be a 10x successful. This seller and many sellers, because we're all sellers, has already learned
That's
so
true.
much from you and inspired, and you've made, I do have to say as another compliment, you've made that pivot so fast. It is often, I see people who are in marketing, when they shift to entrepreneurship or they have to inevitably shift to actual selling, they bail because they can't get through that first year of just total rejection. And they give up, and there's no surprise that you powered through because you know what's on the other side, but to go through this side. But kudos to you because all salespeople should be that strong, and you're doing it.
One thing that I tell myself is no plan B. This is the plan. Whereas normally I'd be like, oh, I have a plan B, like C, D, E, but it's like no, this is the plan, and I gotta follow through. So hopefully. That can inspire others as well.
That's a great takeaway. And there's clients walking in and out of your office as this is being recorded.
That's my husband. He's gonna hate
and he's also a client. He's also a client. Too funny. Yeah. Too funny. Yeah. Well, Lauren, this has been such a pleasure. I could talk to you for 2 days. But you've got to go out and get new clients. I've got to go and get new clients, as do our listeners. So we like to close up each episode with owning the goal, with you sharing what is your one. There was so much you gave, so thank you. Yeah. And I know the listeners are grateful as well. What's the one thing, if they remember one thing out of the 40 odd minutes that we got to talk today, that someone can be inspired with and take away today?
My one takeaway is don't be afraid to reinvent and create new goals. Like you're not married to the goals that you set early in your career. So reflect on who you are, what you want, and reinvent yourself as many times as you need to fulfill what you want to accomplish in the world.
Oh, well, that is just perfect. And you've reinvented yourself at a very early stage in your career, so there's no doubt you're going to be wildly successful in addition to where you already are. So that's wonderful. So I want to thank you so much for your time today and for being on the program. And we're always looking here at Owning the Goal for wonderful guests like Lauren to come on. I put a post up on LinkedIn looking for guests, and Lauren was the first person who got in touch with me. So I certainly thank you for that. So,
and thank you so much, Brian, for doing this. Like, it is an investment to do a podcast, and I've been saying I want to do one and have even created the outline for it, and I haven't done it yet. So, like, I give you so much, so many kudos for giving people a platform to tell their stories and just help others. It's great.
Yeah, well, thank you. It's my pleasure, and it's something as you get into the other side of 50-somethings, you, like many, will realize it's our job to pay it back, to all the brilliant people that taught us before, and to share this. So that's really the goal, very much like the goal that you have. But you've got decades of advanced wisdom beyond me, so no surprise. So, Lauren, thank you again so much. Thank you to our listeners for watching or listening. And if you have story ideas or thoughts or comments, please share with us. I would also recommend any marketers out there that are looking for marketing services. You've just heard from a brilliant woman and a brilliant business person as to how that she can help your business. I would strongly advise that you contact Lauren. We'll put her information also in the show notes so that you can do that. But from myself and from Lauren, we thank you so much on this beautiful Monday. We'll have this episode up quickly, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Take care, everybody. Thanks, Brian. Bye-bye.